Right now, with countries threatening more retaliatory tariffs against the U.S., we'll tell you how vulnerable Wisconsin is.
Plus, local postal workers protest against USPS privatization. We'll share their demands.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now This Morning. On a Friday, I'm Kyrie Lee.
And I'm Chris Stanford. Some showers and thunderstorms out there this morning, some even producing some hail.
Yes, and we're going to take a live look at our Janesville camera this morning, where you could see a light show. Not sure what's going on out there right now, but obviously we are tracking things on the radar. Savannah's been on it all morning long. Savannah, is this system moving on through? What are things looking like for us this Friday morning?
Yeah, we've got two warm fronts, one south of here across northern to central Illinois and one that's literally just north of Madison. These storms kind of riding along that right now, but you could still see lightning out of the Janesville camera. It's not across the city of Janesville, but you can see this cell right here. That's all the lightning. So looking northward in comparison to Janesville, you're still seeing some storm activity east of Stoughton, west of Jefferson, entering almost areas near Whitewater this morning. This is all down near Rock County, and then into Jefferson and eastern Dane County. We're seeing these storms move over Lake Ripley, Jefferson, Fort Atkinson, also seeing some activity east of Koshkonong. All of these storms have had a history of producing some minor sized hail, and we're talking about that dime sized, penny sized, all the way up to nickel sized hail. Not severe weather, but that is still stronger storms, and also lots of lightning. There's also several storms up near Baraboo, Portage, Poinettes, and southwest of Beaver Dam early this morning. We'll talk about all these storms and when you're going to expect that to end coming up.
All right, Savannah, we'll keep checking in with you. Meantime, folks, if you want to track those storms yourself, you can do it at the palm of your hand. Just download the free First Warn weather app. We've been keeping our eye on Bangkok, Thailand this morning after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck overnight. We know at least 3 people are dead after a high-rise that collapsed in that city. That 7.7 magnitude quake struck in Thailand near Myanmar. The region is now under a state of emergency, and emergency officials are now searching for an unknown number of people trapped in the rubble underneath that high-rise collapse. And take a look at this. This shows you just how powerful that earthquake struck. On top of this high-rise, that is the pool that is cascading over the side of the building as it is swaying in the shocks. That is also in Bangkok at the Intercontinental Hotel.
Now to some other top stories this morning. U.S. trade partners say they plan to retaliate if President Donald Trump follows through with new auto tariffs. 25% duties on vehicles assembled outside the U.S. are set to start April 3rd. Tariffs on imported parts are scheduled to begin by May 3rd. Canada's prime minister says his country will respond forcefully. The Mexican president says she'll wait until next week to react. Germany's economy minister says they will not back down. And Japan's prime minister says all options are on the table. The EU Commission says they will wait until next week to decide on a response. But France's president says Europe will reciprocate.
Wisconsin could be vulnerable to the U.S. tariffs on the European Union. That's according to a new study from LendingTree that looks at what each state imports from EU nations. 12 states in total get at least a quarter of their imports from the EU. Wisconsin ranks 11th among states most vulnerable. We get about 26% of our imports from the EU.
This morning, Wall Street will look to shares of automakers. That's after stocks took a dive following the president's announcement of 25% tariffs on imported cars and some auto parts. General Motors stock fell more than 7%. Ford fell close to 4% in value. Stellantis lost more than 1%. The tariffs, again, are set to take effect next week.
Mail carriers across the country are protesting after President Donald Trump suggested privatizing the USPS.
Our Maddie Heimsch delivers the message of postal workers in Janesville. They say U.S. mail is not for sale.
U.S. mail! Not for sale!
This is service.
Sherry Dorsey is the president of the local union branch for the National Association of Letter Carriers. She's also been delivering mail for 20 years.
We're here to serve the public, and that's what we want to do.
She says turning the public service into a business is the wrong route to take, both for carriers and customers.
Of course, the prices are going to go up. You know, right now it's 73 cents to send a letter from here to Hawaii. Well, it'd probably be a lot more if it was privatized.
But it's not those letters to Hawaii retired carrier Bob Luke is worried about. The USPS delivers to nearly 169 million addresses around the country. He doubts a private business would do the same.
And a private corporation would not serve a lot of rural, remote areas in the country.
But in a time where government spending is being closely monitored, funding is a struggle.
First-class mail has really been reduced, but it's still there.
Due in part to the decline of physical mail, the USPS reported a net loss of $9.5 billion in fiscal year 2024. But in the first quarter of 2025, the service saw a net income of $144 million. Supporters in Janesville say that thanks to that positive financial trend and the day-to-day work of the carriers,
We, as postal carriers, we really care about our customers.
they don't need the government's help to be the total package. Reporting in downtown Janesville, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Now to the latest on a Wisconsin cold case. A Minnesota man charged in that case says he plans to plead guilty. John Keith Miller is awaiting trial for the 1974 murder of Mary Schlase. She'd been hitchhiking to an art show in February, a half-century ago. Police say that a driver picked her up. The driver stabbed her to death and dumped her on a dead-end road off of I-94 near Menominee. Also left behind, the killer's stocking cap.
I didn't know I left it there until I saw the pictures.
And when you saw the pictures, did you recognize that it was your hat?
Yep, yes I did.
Investigators say this is one of the oldest cold cases in the country to be solved while the suspect is still living. Although his case is pending, Miller says there will not be a trial.
Happening today, the city of Sun Prairie is inviting the community to meet the 2 finalists for the city's next police chief. Residents can attend a public forum today at 5:30. It will be on the 2nd floor of the council chambers at City Hall. The public forum allows the finalists to respond to questions and engage with the community. There will be a live broadcast and recording for those unable to attend. Money is pouring into Wisconsin for next Tuesday's race for state Supreme Court. But in one case, that money is going directly into voters' pockets. Elon Musk is asking voters to oppose activist judges by signing a petition, and they receive $100. And today, as part of a lottery, Musk announced a Green Bay voter received $1 million. He also offered money last November for a similar petition in the run-up to the presidential election. Constitutional expert Howard Schwaber says Musk is collecting voter information rather than advocating for a specific candidate.
There's nothing at all illegal about paying someone to essentially fill out paperwork for you. You can even think of it as selling your information, if you like, very voluntarily. It's one of the more transparent versions of selling your information that people are likely to run across in this day and age.
Musk isn't advocating for a specific judge but for a judicial philosophy. But outside of this petition, Musk himself has given $3 million to the state Republican Party. Musk groups have spent more than $17 million on the race. Musk is also a vocal supporter of the conservative candidate Brad Schimmel. A wine and spirits retailer is hosting its first ever Midwest Spirits celebration. Waterford Wine and Spirits is bringing together some of the top craft distillers from the Great Lakes region. It runs in Fitchburg on April 12th from noon to 3. Attendees will have a chance to taste more than 50 different spirits made throughout the Midwest.
All right, 6:09. Let's check in with Savannah on that active weather out there this morning. Hi, Savannah.
Yeah, guys, good morning. We're still tracking several storms across southern Wisconsin, producing some hail and windy conditions. We'll track exactly.
Watching News 3 Now this morning, moving forward.
We're back this morning in the 6:08. Josh Breiter's off this week, but he would tell you to get out there and vote for our Spirit of Service Award, which is going on right now. Time's running out. Our partners at Vortex have narrowed down more than 200 nominations to 5 finalists. These are veterans in our communities who are doing some pretty amazing things. You can vote right now at channel3000.com until March 30th, Sunday. Look for their stories online, learn all about it, and then make your vote. We'll announce a winner right here on News 3 Now this morning, April 2nd. That veteran will take home $5,000 presented by Vortex.
Let's check in now with Savannah Brito, who is here tracking this radar. It's going to get warmer, but we have to get through these storms first.
Exactly. Yeah, the rest of the day is looking dry. That's after about mid-morning. We're expecting all these storms and the activity to move out of here. These storms are all moving eastward. Some hail was just reported about 15 minutes ago near Envidor, and that's basically north of Portage, close to Baraboo and the Dells. That's this storm right here moving over Baraboo, Prairie du Sac, Portage, and Montello right now headed towards Poinnette, Cambria, and Columbus. Columbus actually is just about to see another cell move across that area too. Lots of lightning returns on radar. All the red, that's the heaviest rain that we're tracking this morning. And yes, most of these storms have had a history of producing hail anywhere between a dime-sized and up to a nickel-sized hail. There's also a little cell across Baraboo right now. Some lighter rain, not as big or widespread of storms, but that's up north of the Dells and south of Newchester this morning. We'll take a look at Dane County specifically, and Lodi just north of Waunakee. They're seeing a cell move across that area too. Waunakee about to see this cell move across the area. No severe weather, but some of these storms are strong. Lots of lightning, like I mentioned as well. Middleton also seeing a cell, and then we've got some more storm activity up near Sun Prairie and also just about to enter the Marshall area. That cell is northeast of Cottage Grove. Nothing going on downtown Madison right now, but that cell to the west is just about to move across that, I would say, within the next couple of minutes, up to 15 minutes. And we still do have storms that we're tracking down near Monticello and just north of Winslow and northern Illinois as well. So most of the storm activity is still, we're seeing that redevelopment across Greene County right now and near Monroe. So any of this is expected to move out of here by mid to late morning, and then the rest of the day is going to be dry, but will be pretty breezy. We're at 47 in Madison, 51 in Middleton, 49 in Oregon. We're going to have near record warmth later this afternoon. So that secondary warm front is sitting south of here. That'll slide up across southern Wisconsin and allowing us to warm up. Wherever that does set up, that's expected, I think, to be across central Wisconsin, meaning any chance of additional severe weather later in the day is going to be where that warm front sets up and then to the north. The chance basically across central and northern Wisconsin, there's a small hail chance up there. No green across the Madison area. That's up near Black River Falls, the low end severe threat. And that's what I just showed where that warm front is. All that storm activity is expected to be there. How about Saturday and Sunday over the weekend, though? Southwestern Dane County and southwestward, including Platteville, Dubuque, Monroe, and then just southwest of Janesville, expecting a low end severe threat. And then southeast of Madison and southeastern Dane County then for Sunday. I do think we'll see mixed precipitation, though. It is going to be a busy weekend. Not a washout by any means, but also very breezy today, lasting through the weekend. Off and on showers Saturday, but I do think it'll be scattered to widespread more so Saturday night into Sunday. Could see some light snow Sunday into Monday.
All right, Savannah, on top of it, thank you. So March is Women's History Month. It's a time to celebrate women and the contributions they've made to society.
One company is on a mission to stand against gender bias in sports and make sure female athletes are empowered and recognized. CBS's Danya Backus introduces us to the woman behind the clothing brand Playa Society.
Esther Wallace took a chance on making emerging women's sports fashion forward.
It was really just me having my experiences as a woman in sports, as a female athlete, and trying to problem solve and fill the void of the brand that was missing.
She launched Playa Society in 2018, streetwear that promotes representation in women's sports, with her first female athlete t-shirt taking a stand against gender bias.
In a space where everybody was saying it wasn't worth the time and the effort to celebrate women in sports, I decided to double down and do the most and give more time and more effort.
Wallace weaves culture and storytelling into her hand-sketched designs, putting the spotlight on women with sports merch featuring their faces, teams, and stats.
I always say someone had to be the first.
WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops is collaborating with Playa Society and Wallace.
Everything about what she does, everything about what she represents and what she stands for are things that I align with.
As one of the first players signed to the WNBA and a three-time Olympic gold medalist, Swoop says she's been waiting for a brand that celebrates female athletes.
These women deserve to be respected. These women deserve to be honored. These women deserve the same opportunities as our male counterparts.
And that's what Wallace is committed to doing, parlaying Playa Society partnerships with the WNBA and NCAA.
It's about creating something that's timeless, that people are going to connect to.
A connection she hopes will continue to push women and the sports they play to the forefront. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Playa Society is launching a McDonald's All-American collection on April 1st.
Well, the Brewers looking to even up things with the Yankees tomorrow. First pitch is at 12:05. The first date, home opener for the Yankees, season opener for MLB. Didn't go the Brewers' way. Yankees win 4-1. Third baseman Vinny Peralta there hitting a solo home run in his debut with the Crew. After their weekend fling with the Yankees, make sure to tune in Monday morning right here on News 3 Now this morning. We'll be live at American Family Field, getting you ready for the Brewers game and showing you all the new stuff they've got to offer this season.
Yes, and you can watch that game right here on WISC-TV. The game starts at 1:10 p.m. And on top of that, we'll have 9 other games this season that will air right here on WISC-TV.
Oh, exciting stuff, exciting stuff. The Crew on Channel 3. Gotta love that.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you all are brewing up for Monday.
I see what you did there.
Well, still ahead, the new food craze that's landed in Wisconsin.
Coming up at the top of the hour, our next half hour, I should say, the president threatening some reciprocal tariffs on Canadian lumber. How that could affect disaster rebuilding.
And before we head to break, here's a look at gas prices this morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This photo is from Tim. He sent this picture of hail in Stoughton, and this was earlier this morning, right?
Yeah, it was just about 4:45 to 5 in the morning. We tracked several storms across that area, and I would say this is like penny-sized to nickel-sized. He commented that on my Facebook page, so thank you, Tim, for that picture.
Well, trending this morning, sweet treat sweeping the internet. It's called the Dubai Chocolate Bar. You heard of this? It's a pistachio-filled dessert that'll cost you a pretty penny. The chocolate shop in Wausau sells a half-a-pound bar for $27, or $8 if you want a couple of minis. The reason it's so expensive is because pistachio butter and demand. It's also labor-intensive. It makes a few days to make it.
They look really pretty.
I mean, I don't get half a pound for $27.
It sounds really good, though.
Yeah, it's a little bit steep for some chocolate and pistachio, but you know.
I'd spend the money.
I guess if it's good, it's worth the money. If something's good, I always get upset when something's not good, and then you wait, then you spend the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Look at that, though. All right. Well, hey, if you feel distracted by your phone, the problem may be you. That's according to a new study published in Frontiers in Computer Science. Researchers found that when faced with boring tasks, people do use their cell phones for a distraction, but if it's not nearby, you'll probably just distract yourself some other way. The experiment doesn't prove this. It did use just 22 people working on their computers, but it does beg the question, is it our phones that we're drawn to, or is it just our short attention span these days?
Probably a little bit of both.
I think it's just a bad habit, just picking it up, because sometimes you just pick it up and you're like, why am I even picking my phone up?
I know, because you want to be in the present moment, but then distracting yourself on the phone, you're not.
So I think we are the problem.
Right. Yeah, probably.
We're the problem.
They called us right out,
We
right?
can't blame the phone.
Exactly.
So there we go.
Yeah, well, my friend actually in Middleton, she just sent me a video, lots of heavy rain, but she said there was no hail, and that's what the storms that we're still seeing on radar early this morning. That one moving just out of Middleton and across downtown Madison right now, leads up near Lodi, and then also east of Partyville. But I don't want to neglect other areas east of Jefferson. You're seeing a storm too, around Watertown and by Monroe. So still a very active radar this morning. Some of these storms have had a history, though, of producing.
This morning, the trade war escalates. How our neighbors to the north are reacting.
Plus, more details on the death of a missing McFarland woman, what the criminal complaint says.
Plus, destruction overseas. See the shocking scenes from Thailand and Myanmar after a powerful earthquake rocks the region. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning on a Friday. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Anley alongside meteorologist Savannah Burrito. We have a lot going on globally and even here locally. with our weather.
We've had a lot of storms. Some of those have had a history of producing some smaller or minor sized hail. That's anywhere that we've seen reports dime to penny to nickel sized. Once you get to quarter sized or above that, that's when you start to see those severe thunderstorm warnings. We have not seen any of that this morning, but lots of special weather statements, lightning. We've all seen that driving into work, and we're still seeing a lot of flashes on radar. Heavy rain and also 40-mile-per-hour winds. So a lot, but not severe this morning.
Let's see if we can catch some of that lightning on the Edgewater Sky Cam as we take a look live out over Madison. It's been flashing for several hours now. A huge line of storms that have been pushing through the viewing area. And Savannah, it seems like some of these storms are kind of hovering over Madison. It's moving along faster to the south than it has been in Dane County and further parts to the north.
Yeah, we're just seeing this kind of stagnant few cells, and then we see a minor break, and then more cells kind of redevelop. A lot of air, warm air is being pulled in to the south, and we are going to be pretty breezy. But yeah, specifically across Dane County, not a lot of activity going on in western Dane County or the Middleton area, but this is really downtown Madison over Blooming Grove, the airport also seeing that, DeForest, Leeds, but specifically for downtown Madison, this is kind of entering across that belt line. Monona getting pretty hard too. Again, nothing is severe, but this storm has had a history of producing some minor sized hail, very gusty winds, lots of heavy rain. All of that red is heavy rain that's moving across your neighborhoods right now. That is expected to move across the Cottage Grove area, McFarland, Sun Prairie within a couple minutes, I would say. We're also tracking several storms outside of that and across the rest of southern Wisconsin. We'll continue to give you updates though and talk about anything that we're seeing through the rest of the morning.
All right, Savannah, thank you. And be sure to stay on top of the forecast by downloading the free First Warn Weather app. You can find that in your app store.
Dramatic scenes from Bangkok, Thailand this morning, where rescue efforts are happening right now following an earthquake. An unknown number of people are trapped in the rubble of a 30-story skyscraper that was under construction. 3 people are confirmed dead. Local officials say 70 construction workers were still missing at the building site, including 20 believed to be trapped in elevators. The epicenter was more than 800 miles from Bangkok, which has a population similar to that of New York City.
Well, let's take a look at this video here. It shows water cascading from a rooftop pool of an Intercontinental Hotel. This too in Bangkok. Take a look at that water just falling over the side there. Just shows really the strength of this earthquake.
We'll have any developments right here on News 3 Now this morning up through 7 a.m. And of course, CBS Mornings will cover it as well. Well, in our top stories this morning, some U.S. trade partners say they plan to retaliate if President Donald Trump follows through with new auto tariffs.
25% duties on vehicles assembled outside the U.S. are set to start April 3rd. Tariffs on imported parts are scheduled to begin by May 3rd. Canada's prime minister says his country will respond forcefully. The Mexican president says she'll wait until next week to react. Germany's economy minister says they will not back down. And Japan's prime minister says all options are on the table regarding the tariffs. The EU Commission says they will wait until next week to decide on a response, but France's president says Europe will reciprocate. Meanwhile, the president is threatening reciprocal tariffs on Canadian lumber. Thousands of California fire victims wonder what measures could mean for their rebuilding efforts. The U.S. sourced nearly 25% of softwood lumber from Canada. It's a material critical to home construction.
Lumber obviously is a big expense of building a home. It's about 10 to 20% of the overall cost of a house.
It takes years to build the supply chain. You need more sawmills. You can't build sawmills tomorrow.
The U.S. has roughly 300 billion trees. An investment to make infrastructure to process those trees could cost up to $400 million.
Driving around Wisconsin, you may soon see a billboard like this. It's part of an educational program from the Canadian government. The goal is to inform Americans of the economic impacts of tariffs. These billboards are in several states already, including Florida, Michigan, Colorado, and Minnesota.
In some local news this morning, the man charged in the death of Brooke Stratton is set to appear in court today. A criminal complaint is revealing more about her disappearance and death. Our Meryl Hubbard breaks it down.
Brooke Stratton was last seen on September 30th in the area of Odana Road and Whitney Way with a male acquaintance. Madison police found her body in a pond on UW-Madison Arboretum property on October 3rd. The man last seen with Stratton is 25-year-old James Barnes Morris. He's charged with first-degree intentional homicide and a domestic abuse modifier. MPD's criminal complaint gives alleged comments he made the night of her disappearance. The alleged comments include, "I had to get rid of her. She knew too much. The lilies made it hard. And I need another brick and a rope." The complaint says that a person heard Barnes Morris make those comments and noticed him with several large scratches on his legs at a gathering September 30th. Faye Zemmel from Domestic Abuse Intervention Services says,
"That's sort of like the biggest fear, right? Is that you would be harmed to the point that your life would be lost or that you would be killed."
It takes an average of 7 attempts for a survivor to leave their abuser and stay separated.
Abuse can really escalate when the abusive partner really feels like they're losing that power and control. So leaving a relationship is a very dangerous time potentially.
But she says Days is just one call away.
Days provides life-saving services. If somebody is reaching out to us, we meet everyone where they're at.
Barnes Morris is now in Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun and will make his initial court appearance Friday afternoon. As for Stratton, her memory is not lost on the community. Reporting in Madison, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
To the latest on Social Security now. Some seniors could have their entire monthly Social Security check withheld. That's in order to repay accidental overpayment. Previously, this group saw 10% deducted from their checks. The Social Security Administration says pays benefits to about 70 million Americans every month and totals about $1.6 trillion of payments a year. Officials say fewer than 1% receive more money than they should. Recipients are able to appeal any monetary decision if they feel it's been made in error.
Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife, Second Lady Usha, will travel to the Pitufik space base in Greenland today. President Trump has recently said he wants the U.S. to take control of Greenland because of national security reasons.
President Trump also asking Representative Elise Stefanik to stay in Congress. Trump had nominated Stefanik to serve as UN ambassador, but the GOP currently holds a razor-thin majority in the House, so the president would like to keep her there. The president's also pushing ahead with his efforts to slash the size of the government. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. took to social media recently to announce 10,000 layoffs within his department.
And the Henry Vilas Zoo is beginning its 3rd year of taking precautions against bird flu. The zoo has an on-site veterinarian to focus on biosecurity. To keep germs out of their bird enclosure, they have stroller wipes and foot baths so guests can wipe their feet before entering.
It's not just agricultural birds that are affected by this. It can also be our zoo birds. So when they come in, they see signs and they're taking the measures to, clean their shoes off or spray their stroller wheels. Hopefully they're kind of connecting, their potential impact on animals here and animals outside in the world.
The CDC says zoo workers are the most at risk for bird flu.
News 3 Now continues to highlight local trailblazers during Women's History Month. Today we meet Pernisha Clifton. She's the founder of local nonprofit Seein' is Believin'. It focuses on challenging negative mental health stigmas with kids. She's also the first black woman to sing in Mandarin at a Chinese opera house and is a former policy writer for UW. Clifton did all of this while battling chronic illness.
I have a couple of them. I have ankylosing spondylitis, so your body's constantly attacking itself and causing even more pain. Then I have fibromyalgia, which fibromyalgia intensifies pain that's already there or creates pain that never existed. That eventually led to my medical retirement from the universities because I was having to go through so many treatments and I wasn't able to be all that I needed to be in my position. I'm still one of the best in spite of every diagnosis. So it allows me to talk to children and say, there are no excuses. If I can get up here and tell you that life is unfair and I'm still managing to work through the unfairness, you can too.
In addition, Clifton battled depression and anxiety as a teenager. She also writes books.
Happening now in the 608, Sunday is the last day to vote for a local veteran you think is deserving of the Spirit of Service Award. Our partners at Vortex narrowed the more than 200 nominations down to these final 5 you see on your screen. Voting is now open on channel3000.com through this Sunday. You can look for their stories on News 3 Now and our mobile app. A winner will be announced April 2nd. That person takes home $5,000 presented by Vortex.
Well, the Brewers getting ready to play the Yankees again tomorrow ahead of Monday's home opener. It's after their first test of the season. It was not Milwaukee's day in New York. Yankees won it 4-1. But hey, remember, Brewers are going to be kicking things off in Milwaukee for the 2025 season Monday against the Royals. And News 3 Now this morning is going to be there on Monday morning, showing you everything new at AmFam Field this season. So tune in for that. And keep it right here on WISC-TV. We're going to broadcast that game. First pitch is at 1:10.
Yes, and this is just one of many games that will be broadcast right here on WISC-TV this season. So no need to download all those apps and try to get those, those trial trial subscriptions and all of that stuff.
Yeah, there have been so many changes with how to watch the Brewers in recent years. It's good to hear that you could just, turn on the tube and watch right from your TV.
Right there, we got it for you, locked in. Coming up after the break, the open season Sportsman's Expo begins. We'll tell you what you can expect.
And we'll also track all the active storms that we have, some of these producing hail. We'll talk about where coming up.
This morning, moving forward.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, today kicks off the Wisconsin Open Season Sportsman Expo in Wisconsin Dells at Kalahari Resorts. The expo features more than 300 exhibitors with the latest products, gear, and equipment for hunting, fishing, and much more. Brandon Sinsky is here with the details. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Yes. So what can people expect at this year's expo?
Well, as you said, there's over 300 exhibitors of everything hunting in the outdoors. So if you're coming to gear up for next year's season, we have everything there for you to get covered.
All right. And so can you tell us about some of the seminars and some of the other interactive things people will be able to get involved with?
Yeah, we'll have industry experts there, and you'll learn about planting food plots, how to be a better turkey hunter. We'll have Byron Ferguson there. He's an archery trick shooter. And we'll actually have Twiggy, the water skiing squirrel, as well.
Okay, that one sounds interesting. So you can tell us about the trophy deer contest.
Yeah, so we do a trophy deer contest. If you have a mount at home that you want to bring in and get scored, or even if it's already scored, come enter it into the contest. We have wonderful prizes you can win. We're even giving away a Matthews bow. So bring your deer down and we'll get it scored and put it up on display for the weekend.
Is this a family-friendly event?
It very much is. So bring the kids out, get them into the outdoors, into the hunting industry. Kids 12 and under are free.
And what makes this event so unique, would you say?
It's just been around for over 30 years. We used to be in the Madison area. We moved it to the Wisconsin Dells, but it is a one-stop shop to celebrate your hunting heritage and come out and buy gear for the next season.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. Well, I'm sure people want to get out there. I'm sure the tickets are going fast, but are there any available left?
There are, yeah. We'll be selling tickets all weekend. You can walk up at the door and buy them. Otherwise, you can buy them online at www.openseasonsportsmansexpo.com.
All right. Well, Brandon, we want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks again.
And we will have all this information on channel3000.com.
Well, it's been a very active morning. We've had several stronger storms, nothing still that's severe. And actually these storms that are around Wisconsin Dells, north of Madison, that all is breaking up, still producing some pretty heavy rain though. Let's take a look specifically at the Madison area and Dane County. Most of these storms exiting Dane County and moving into Jefferson County, but Deerfield getting hit pretty hard. Marshall and areas south of Beaver Dam with that line. This is still holding strength. I do expect that as it moves further east. Some of these still producing not only heavy rain, but also some lightning. You can see still some of those returns on radar near Economowoc, Watertown, and Beaver Dam. Seeing lots of those little flashes. That's all lightning on radar. So we're seeing that. And these storms have had a history of producing basically anywhere from dime-sized up to penny and nickel-sized hail. That was really earlier this morning. The last report that I'm looking at right now is near Endeavor, which was kind of up near Wisconsin Dells and that area, but we're not seeing that anymore. That storm is breaking up. And then some more, again, entering Rock County, south of Broadhead, west of Janesville, and kind of near Stoughton. That storm moving out of the Stoughton area right now as well. So still expecting these. I would say the next hour, most of these will exit and start to move eastward and out of our viewing area across the Madison area, closer to Milwaukee and across Lake Michigan at that point in time. But these are racing and moving east at 40 to 45 miles per hour. 47 currently in Madison. We're at 48 in McFarland, 48 in Waunakee, 50 in Sauk City. We will have near record warmth later this afternoon. A very mild day ahead, but breezy. The rest of the day, once these morning storms move out, is going to be dry. But we're looking at winds gusting potentially up to 40 miles per hour. And our forecast high in Madison, 76. Our record warmth, 76. So I think we will tie that, maybe even break that by a degree or two. Anything later today, this warm front, the secondary one that's sitting south of here, that's going to slide north. Anything that latches onto that or is north of the warm front could produce some hail. That's where the severe weather threat is. That's later today. That's basically up including Black River Falls. It's a low end threat, but that's where all the rain even is going to be later today. So I think the rest of the day is going to be dry here locally across Madison. Then once we get into the weekend, we are expecting potentially some stronger storms yet again. This does include southwestern Dane County, not the city of Madison, Platteville, and Monroe. And then also Janesville for later in the day Saturday. Then once we get to about mid to late morning Sunday into the early afternoon, mixed precipitation expected north of Madison, but southeastern Dane County now in areas south, really hitting Kenosha and southward where the yellow color is. That's where severe weather is expected, or at least potentially could reach those areas later Sunday. So mostly dry, couple of showers late tonight into tomorrow north of here. This is now 11 p.m. Saturday, seeing some of that mixed precipitation near Watoma. North of Wisconsin Dells, that's where temps will be coolest. Scattered activity then into Sunday morning. We are looking at breezy conditions, though, continuing both days out of the weekend. Today will be the windiest, and then we're looking at gusts potentially reaching about 25 to 30 miles per hour all weekend long. Not going to be widespread. I think we're looking at that Saturday into Sunday, but mixed precipitation for sure Sunday as temps fall into the mid to upper 20s on Sunday night into Monday. And then we're going to get into a less active pattern, but more rain in the forecast by Wednesday.
All right, so we're going to see that warm up, but lots of rain in between too.
Very brief, yeah.
All right, Savannah, thank you. Coming up in the morning, Sprint, the high-profile billionaire coming to the state.
If you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send us a picture. We'll show it on TV. 6:54, time for the morning sprint.
Some U.S. trade partners could retaliate against President Donald Trump's tariffs. Canada's prime minister says his country will respond forcefully. The Mexican president says she'll wait until next week to react. Germany's economy minister says they will not back down. And Japan's prime minister says all options are on the table. The EU Commission says it'll wait until next week to decide on a response. France's president says Europe will reciprocate.
New this morning, Elon Musk will speak in Wisconsin Sunday night. In a post overnight on X, he said attendance is limited to those who've already voted in the state Supreme Court race. Musk's donated millions of dollars to Brad Schimmel's campaign. He says he'll personally hand over 2 checks on Sunday night worth $1 million each to 2 voters to show his appreciation.
We're watching Bangkok, Thailand, where rescue efforts are happening right now following an earthquake. An unknown number of people are trapped in the rubble of a 30-story skyscraper that was under construction. 3 people are confirmed dead at this time. The epicenter was more than 800 miles from Bangkok, which has a population similar to New York City.
The man charged in the death of 24-year-old Brooke Stratton will appear in court today. James Barnes Morris is the last person prosecutors say to see Stratton. MPD's criminal complaint gives comments that he made the night of her disappearance, including, "I had to get rid of her." Barnes Morris is charged with first-degree intentional homicide with a domestic abuse modifier.
Mount Horeb police are investigating a bomb threat at the village's Walgreens. It happened yesterday morning on Springdale Street near the public library. The person who reported the threat says they received a phone call with vague information about a possible explosive device. Police searched the building but did not find anything. The investigation into the threat continues.
Brewers looking to get into the win column tomorrow against the Yankees after an upset to the season opener. Brewers lost in New York 4-1. Brewers home opener is this Monday. Our News 3 Now team is going to be there at American Family Field to show you what's new at the ballpark this year.
And we're tracking still a very active radar. For the most part, these storms are exiting Dane County and entering Jefferson County, kind of up near Watertown. We're still seeing some lightning returns on radar. Those storms are expected to move across Johnson Creek and Fort Atkinson pretty soon here. Beyond that, I think the rest of the day dry after mid-morning when these storms continue to move east and exit the viewing area. We are tracking off and on showers, though, the remainder of the weekend.
All right, Savannah, thank you for staying on top of that.
We're back with a news and weather update in 30